the Kings did make a move over the weekend, bringing back a familiar face. Kent Bazemore is back with the Sacramento Kings, signing a one-year deal. How much of it is guaranteed, non-guaranteed, we don't know at this point. But the Kings have added to their depth. They bring back Kent Bazemore, who was in LA last season. Didn't play like a ton for them at all. The year before that, after leaving Sacramento, he was with the Warriors. He's a veteran. And I think the thing where it makes sense to me is like there's connections, right? It's not only the Mike Brown connection. Mike Brown knows Bazemore a little bit. But Kings assistant general manager Wes Wilcox, he was the GM of the Hawks when they signed Kent Bazemore to a 4-year deal back in the day. So
there's relationships.
There's relationships. And at this point, you're trying to fill out your roster.
Yeah.
He's a pro. Like, he's just a good locker room presence.
He's an energy guy.
I think you need those guys on your roster. What do you think of the move to add Kent Bazemore?
When I saw, I think sometimes when people see these moves, and especially in Sacramento, they're just like, well, what's that gonna do? Well, what it's going to do is add depth, and depth with experience, right? Not just depth like, oh, this guy that, has been around for a couple years, he's athletic, but he's still really raw. It's not that type of depth. It's depth with experience, and the Sacramento Kings need to have that. Now, so many people might be talking about today or whenever, how much is Kent Bazemore actually going to play? I mean, he probably has to play over so-and-so. He doesn't have to play over anyone. This is the greatest part about everything, you guys. All these guys that you see, all these names, actually had to fight for playing time, which you just don't see much in Sacramento. You kind of just usually know who's going to play where, what's going to happen. But with Kent Bazemore, I'm excited to add him to the depth of the Sacramento Kings roster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think when you look at the Kings depth chart, you know who, for the most part, the 8 guys who will be playing. I think after that, it just depends on like who's playing well, who's practicing well, matchups, all that stuff. I think it's safe to say we know that you're going to see Fox, You're going to see Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Sabonis, Mitchell, Monk, and Holmes. That's 8 right there.
Yep.
Now, how many guys will Mike Brown end up playing? I mean, I think like 9 to 10. I mean, any more than that seems kind of crazy at this point. And, the rotation's going to change throughout the year. But the Kings clearly have the most depth that they've had in a long, long time. Adding Bazemore to the fold, who can play some small forward for this team, isn't the worst idea. Now, how much is he going to play? I don't think he's been really good the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. But in a limited role, a guy like you said who's a veteran, good locker room guy, 7-foot wingspan, like he gets after. His first stint in Sacramento, I liked what I saw from him. I was mixed when they traded for him from Portland. He came in, brought some much needed energy to the club, and I think you need those type of guys. I think when you look at the small forward spot real fast with Sacramento, at this point, Harrison Barnes is a starting small forward. Mm-hmm. The question is, like, who's his backup? I think Huerter can play there. I think Terrence Davis can play there, maybe depending on the lineup. And then Bazemore can play there. You look at someone like KZ Okpala. And then Chima Moneke can play there too. Also, so not all these guys may be on the roster come opening night.
Which is totally fine, which is great, it means that the Kings are doing something that they haven't been doing for years, right? And I think with Kent Bazemore in his first run in Sacramento, he was expected to do so much, just like so many other people that come through Sacramento. It's like on another squad, they're a role player, they're whatever. And then when they come to Sacramento, it's like all of a sudden they have to be a starter, or they have to try and change the culture. They have to try and play 7 different positions. And there's not 7 different positions, but it's great that that how this roster is being constructed is allowing these guys to hopefully do what they're best at, right? Whether that is just being a role player, whether that is just shooting the ball, whether that is just being tenacious on the defensive end.
I think, once the season starts, it's going to be interesting to see who is in the rotation and who's not, because I think you go, oh man, Trey Lyles should get some minutes at the backup 4 spot, right? Mm-hmm. What about Chimezie Metu, right? Terrence Davis, he's got to get some run, right? He was really good in his last stint before the injury. He's got to play, right? All right, where do you find the minutes?
Yeah.
I think it's good from this standpoint. Competition, like this is supposed to be competitive. So training camp comes, let's get after it, and let's see the best, 9, 10 guys are going to play. And after that, you better keep fighting. They try to crack their rotation. And as you know, during the long 82 game grind of an NBA season, the rotation could change,
Right. And I mean, you always know how bodies work and injuries come along and however different things, even just, guys fatigue, all these different things happen. Yes. Like rotations can change or something works better than this, starting lineup or this second unit. So I'm excited to see those things change. And I'm excited to see there be more of a meaning and an identity to each lineup, right? Like these guys actually get to play more of a position that they've played throughout their careers. And that to me is already, you're seeing growth from Monty McNair, from Mike Brown using his relationships to get these guys or to convince them like this is the right place for them to be and to play.
Yeah, and you look at Bazemore's career. Look, I'm not trying to overanalyze this stuff either. He's a veteran piece who may play some minutes, may not play some minutes, but I think he's a guy that teams like to have in their building. Like he had 2 stints with the Lakers. He had a stint with the Hawks. He had 2 stints with Golden State. He's now on his second stint in Sacramento, different front offices, but I think he's just one of those likable players that what Kent Bazemore is at this point, who he is at this point of his career.
Yeah.
And I think he probably knows where he is at in his career. And maybe he looks at Sacramento and is like, hey, I'm going to come in and win that backup small forward spot.
Try it. Do it. Make people better. That's what it's going to do. It's going to create more of this competitive culture in Sacramento that hasn't been here for so damn long. So again, we're talking about this in a positive light in the middle of the off season, right? Like if this is happening any other time and there's a whole bunch of shit going on, obviously it's like, hey, good. I like this move, whatever. But because this is, like we said, we didn't think anything else was going to happen. This move just happened to start August. I like it. I'm glad we can break it down a little bit, but it is what it is. We're not acting like it's the missing piece to the Sacramento Kings, all right?